If they disagree, I didn't tell you that, okay? The discursive component is adhering to academic writing conventions. And then the professor, she starts talking about the three components that define the identity of a writer. It's a discourse, the autobiography, and the one, the set of claims of reference that the person puts to dialogue in the work. The first is this discourse characteristics. So Ivanich describes these components as discourse characteristics and words that meet community expectations. So if you are writing to people from social communication, you can't speak a language that is adequate, that it's fit to engineers, and vice versa. You can speak only in a language that is already spoke by the other researchers in some specific subject. Okay, the authorial component is the writer's authority. I define this component as students' ownership of their ideas and their confidence in themselves as thinker-writers who have authority to speak their ideas into academic conversations. Okay. I think, where is the third component? Let me see. Autobiographical is here. The autobiographic component is the presence of the writer in the text, primarily through the writer's own ideas, but also including relevant personal experiences or examples. This thing warms us a lot. I'm sweating as I speak. Okay. My basic writing walk course, using the content of academic discourse purpose and dispositions, and grounded in a writer identity perspective, is certainly not the only kind of walk course. So there are other professors that are trying to develop a good identity of research in the students, and this article is only one report of experience about one discipline in a college, but there are others that are making another experiences. Writing about writing. Okay. It looks like an interjection, but it's just a how do I say this in English when you put a big expression into some letters only? I don't know. Abbreviation, no, I don't know. What all courses have in common is the use of readings on writing in order to build procedural and declarative knowledge about and experience with writing. It's all the bibliography that the professor uses is in some ways like our bibliography in this course, because all the texts are how to write a good introduction, how to pick a good theme, how to survive your supervisor, or how to choose a good statistics software, and many things that are common to the process of writing a good paper. Although while might sound too advanced for basic writing courses in the level of college, readings and concepts can be adjusted to any institutional context and student demographic. So we are adapting this point of view to the master degree level, okay? Thus, while courses accomplish important writing outcomes that can be very effective for basic writing students, mostly due to the deep learning that stems from students reading, discussing, and writing papers on writing concepts. Wow, we are only in the 10th page, okay. To develop students' writer identities, I designed a basic writing wall course that combines Bartholomew's and Ivanich's course goals. Students should understand the key purposes for academic writing and cultivate academic writer dispositions that lead to a writer identity. I saw an interview today with Jorge Pontual and a black author speaking about the experience of slavedom. I don't know how to slavery. Thanks. About slavery in the U.S. And the author was awarded with a Pulitzer and many things. And the main things that I learned with this guy, that he sits 5 hours a day to write. No matter what happens in the universe, he sits 5 hours a day to write. And he told that this discipline, this willpower that he gained in the journals that he worked in. And when you are a journalist, you write with or without inspiration. You have to write and dot. And this one thing we try to develop when we are in the master degree, in the college, in the doctoral degree. You have to write, no matter if your wife had a problem, if your kid has a problem, you have to write it, and that's all. And if you try to sit at least 3 hours a day, you can accomplish to get the master degree done. Or otherwise, you are gonna be stuck here with us forever. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absorbed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay. In the case of this writer, he does not have to cite as many references as we have to cite. But I tried to develop a way of working that is a little similar with this guy. 1 month, I work many hours a day, reading texts and synthesizing this in folders or files. Then the next month, I try to categorize and write this text. Half the month I categorize, and the other half I write one page a day. And this way you get to write one article in 2 months. It can be a part of vacation and etc. 5 or 6 articles or papers at 1 year. But if I could only write papers, this would be the ideal margin of writing. But you have administrative functions, you have other functions that you have to fulfill that doesn't permit that you achieve these 6 papers a year. But these dynamics usually works for me. Each one of you have to find a dynamics, find a place in your house, find some time in your day, every day, to try to make this dynamic work. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. But unfortunately, we are evaluated with the number of books, not many, but number of papers and the impact of the papers that you write. And this is how the machine works. We are in it. Okay. Basic writing work course. She tries to develop in the students autobiographic identity, and this identity is about having unique ideas and communicating it to the reader. This course of identity, that it's about making clear claims and connecting evidence to claims. So the thread that you are using in your patchwork is yours, but the patches are from other authors that you are putting to dialogue between themselves. Authorial identity is about performing intellectual work, specifically through elaboration and critical thinking. Okay, I'm gonna pass through some less important paragraphs as you are used to in the methodology course, right? Just a minute. Beyond the convention. Okay. This one is about how the professor collected the data, and I think it's not very important to us, the methodologic procedures. A little important is about how she coded the data. Then when you code the data to your dissertation, you have to pay attention to the criteria that you use to code the data. So you can pick a lot of pencils, colored pencils, or you can try to pick a software that makes colorful distinction between the codes, like NVivo and others that do it, and you can assign each color to one type of information. So I think there was 4 types of information that the author coded, and then to each type she assigned one color. This is how she coded the things, and the things that were coded could be simple words, could be entire paragraphs, could be some expression that was more significant, and then it's a little subjective, the process of coding your data. So she coded the autobiographical component. What more? The discursive component. So when the person was making a clear claim or citing reference, this was the discursive component. When the person was writing about past experiences, when the person was talking about conclusions that the own person made with data or reference that were from another researchers, the conclusion was the autobiographical. And then the authorial component was like rephrasing a definition in the author words and so on. Okay, table of data. So you see in this paper that the data was entirely of qualitative nature, but the author accomplished to get the data into tables that were organized through coding, and this coding can be made in a handmade way or in a software made way. I think we are through with this paper, and we can go on to the next. You can see that the professor finished the article in the 28th page. 7 pages are only of works that she cited. It's 20% of the article are reference that she cited. In the methodology course that I gave, I told that at least 10% of the article have to be of reference in the last pages of the work. Because she read a lot, she accomplished to have 20% of reference. Okay. Well, let's go to the next. It's like a grandpa's advice to to be a good researcher, but it's a very nice article. So let's go on. This article, this paper, is about was written for by a physician and engineer. You can see theoretical physics and engineering in the curriculum of this guy. And you see that the devices that this guy gives is, at least in half of the article in the paper, very similar to the advices that the other professor from another area of research was giving us. So we see that researchers, as time goes by, they develop a common set of beliefs that are common to many areas. Okay, this paper provides an informal guide to young researchers in science and engineering as they progress for the first 10 or so years from the time that they first started thinking about doing a PhD. Okay. Who helps me? I can increase a little more the font size. This word is very... Okay. I have a doubt with the approach on chronologically the progress of the local law research for 10 years from what people are thinking about in the PhD. Living teachers, teachers, I have coverage and the doc and part of that relocation talk under discussion. Okay, thanks. Just to destigmatize a little the German language, this word fast script, I don't know how to talk, but there's a clue to apprehend the meaning of the expression. Fast is like party, something that is to, I don't know how to say commemorative in English. Hi. Okay, celebration. Okay. So fest is like celebration, and script is a little cognate to English word script. Então, it's a celebrative text to us to remember the 75th birthday of a highly renowned researcher. So every time you see a word that is from the German language, you have to remember that that word has many cognates with English language, so you can apprehend the meaning. A friend of ours from the SESDUFT, he says that if you know Latin and you know English, you know easily how to speak German. I don't know if he's right, but this advice helped me a lot. Yes. Yes. Ah. Prepositions are very similar. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's just a thing, just for trying to not die of Alzheimer. It's good to learn a new language just to exercise a little more. Wow. Because then you have to think of the function of the word in order to think how you're going to pronounce it. Wow. So, like, very difficult to do. In any language, declination is a nightmare. In Chinese too is a is a nightmare. Okay. The resulting article might entertain and amuse my friends and colleagues, while the potpourri of advice, certainly not a systematic treatise, might prove instructive to the young. But a little advice that I was constructing while trying to learn English and Japanese and other stuff is that to speak and be understood is easy, but to speak precisely, to speak right, is very difficult. So I just gave up talking everything right and tried to be understood. My brother is graduating in French, and he said that it's kind of impossible unless you have much time available to be like fluent. And teacher is fluent in many languages, like that you can be competent. Different. So, and you have no reason to be fluent in your language. You only have to be understood. That's the point. Because writing is easier than speaking like a native. Even if you try to speak like a native, at some time as my English teacher was relating an experience in England, he asked for a paper, not a piece of paper. And then the other person found out that he is Brazilian because he asked a paper, not a piece of paper. I just remember a movie with Brad Pitt. There is a time when the Nazi officer finds out the other is spy because the way he does number 3. Ah, okay, the details. Normally we said that English people would do like this, and German people would do like this. And he did a 3, and it's not German. The devil is in the details. Okay. Nice remembered. Okay, let's go on. This text is like that text of advising to use sunscreen that Pedro Bial spoke in Portuguese. It's like this one experience. It's a little funny, it's a little grandpa's talk, but it's nice. I write as a lifelong researcher, now semi-retired, seeking to help talented young students who might take or just have started on the same track. We were crazy, wacky enough to follow his track. Okay. I have enjoyed every minute of my research and the free lifestyle that it engenders. Like I don't know if you are going in the same vein, but the one thing that I like being a professor is that I can work at home. I can make longer hours than other people do, but I do it inside my house without anyone annoying me in the telephone. I check my mailbox at the time that I want. I organize my workspace the way that I want. If I want to work in a sleeping net, I can work in a sleeping net, not in a chair. So just this, I can make longer hours, but the way that the hours are worked this gives me more satisfaction than working 9 to 5 in an office. But everyone has to find the one way of working that the people, that the person likes.
He loved to study at the beach
Uh-huh.
because, and I'm not saying like desert beach, like crowded beaches.
Wow.
Because, yeah, because he said that if you have too much noise, then it's easier to focus on one thing because you cannot pay attention to the noise.
Wow.
So he said that he loved to go to the beach with Janeiro and etc. just to read all the books he had to read. But he's doing it.
Okay.
It works for him.
I don't know how to say it in English, namorido. he's a journalist, and then he works better with noise too. I can't work with noise, but everyone is each one. Okay. For those who have some scientific originality, no activity can compete with research for excitement and pleasure and satisfaction. When I'm working with a thing that I have to write a paper that is for a group of research that I work with, I can work at 3 hours with that thing because it's not my passion. When I work with a thing that's my passion, I can work 12 hours a day with that thing that I don't get tired. So if you can choose to work with your thing that you really like, the work will get done very, very fastly, very more fastly, because the motivation gets you through the work. Intelligence versus enthusiasm and perseverance. This one comment is very nice because I had some colleagues that were more intelligent than me in college, but the guys were today working like sanitary vigilance agents, or as that people that deliver letters in your home, or etc., because they don't have the willpower, the conditions, or have many troubles in their lives that that halt them in the academic careers. So the intelligence is nice, but the most important is the willpower to get things done, so you don't get halted by your life problems. So what do you need to be a successful researcher in a scientific discipline? Clearly, a certain amount of intelligence is needed, consistent, let's just say, with getting a first or upper second class honors degree. This author, Lion Hudson, says about this matter: originality in most spheres would seem to depend, among other qualities, on persistence, on the pursuit of a given train of thought far beyond the limits that the ordinary citizen can countenance. So the only difference between a researcher and an ordinary citizen is the willpower, the perseverance that the person has to achieve what it has to accomplish. So in the beginning of the career, IQ seems to make a difference, but in the last years of the career, the real difference is about the perseverance, the discipline that the people put to the work. Okay. A good memory, it's not a, it's just the guy showing off himself and his family. These sculptures made with logic and some other things. IQ. Okay. So, when we have some idea of what we are trying to research, we start to make approaches based on our common sense. Then, when you have a little more reference, when you have a little more training with the scientific method, you start approaching the problem in a more systematic way. So you initiate the research with common sense, and then you start applying scientific method to your thing. This is a tip about how to pick good problems. It's in the fifth page. Where do good ideas come from? They don't just happen. Rather, they emerge from a fascination with a problem, an obsession almost, that sensitizes you to any scrap of information that might somehow contribute to find a solution. Okay. There is an author called Domenico De Masi. You probably you know. He says that when you really like your job, when you really like what you are doing, the free time that you have works for you to solve your work problems. So if you are working, developing a piece of publicity, I don't know if I can say that way. Sometimes if you stay at your desk, the piece won't be finished. But if you go to the movies or you go to a walk in the park, sometimes the idea shows up and you can get your work done. So if you like your job and you do almost everything that you could do and you can't get a solution, go have a walk, go have a night of sleep, and then the idea will be worked through your unconscious, and then the work will be done. He speaks about the importance of finding a way of getting a scholarship in these times of 45% cut of our budget. I don't know how to get a scholarship in the university. Okay, scholarship, bye-bye, né? I don't know. Por aí. Por aí. Okay, many people stay on the university from which they have just graduated. I don't know how to say that expression.